Welcome to Fast Physio Facts, episode number 8 with me, Mick Hughes. A great paper coming your way today, published by Marin, Jimenez and colleagues in the British Journal of Sports Medicine 2026, looking at the clinical importance of simple muscular fitness tests to predict long-term health outcomes. A really cool paper. Great systematic review, big numbers across many different studies that look to identify if we have greater strength in both grip strength and lower limb strength in our sit-to-stand test, will it help us with long-term health outcomes and the reduction of risk in some really significant lifestyle-related diseases. So this was a systematic review with 94 papers included and over 500,000 people from the UK, China and Korea. Participants were aged, that were included in the trial were 18 or over, and the follow-up periods of each of the studies included ranged from 1.5 years to 23.5 years, so to 25.5 years. So a really big data set here. So not a really flimsy clinical trial, a big, beefy, bulky systematic review and meta-analysis that gives us really good information about risk and how we can reduce risk and improve those quality of life in those later years. We all know we're going to pass away eventually, unfortunately, but how we live our lives through those middle and late stages of life and how those lifestyle-related illnesses can impact on us. Really important for us as physios and health professionals to identify that with our current patient load and try to help our patients have their best lives and really fill their lives with joy and allow them to have their best lives. So yeah, this is a really cool paper. So basically the key findings were, it probably doesn't, without any surprise, that those that had stronger grip strength and stronger leg strength had lower risk of a whole range of long-term health conditions. So for hand grip strength, the people with the highest hand grip strength compared to those with the lowest had a lower odds of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, musculoskeletal impairments, disability, anxiety, depression, cognitive decline, dementia, and even Parkinson's disease as well. So really big list of lifestyle-related diseases there that's reduced when we have higher levels of hand grip strength. So to give you some numbers here, the higher the hand grip strength that compared to lower grip, there were 27% lower odds of cardiovascular disease, 21% lower odds of type 2 diabetes, 35% lower odds of musculoskeletal impairments, and 43% lower odds of generalised disability. So it's pretty impressive numbers there that, and to get those numbers and to identify those with low and high values of grip strength can easily be done in most clinical settings. The paper also looked at hand grip strength over a continuum and looked at it as a continuous variable and found that for every 5 kilograms increase in hand grip strength, there was a 7% reduction in cardiovascular disease risk, alongside reductions in type 2 diabetes, disability, depression, and cognitive decline and dementia. So moving on to the chair stand test, so the 5 repetition chair stand test, those with best chair stand performance had lower odds of type 2 diabetes, musculoskeletal impairment, disability, depression, and dementia. And even more impressive was that a 1 second improvement in the chair stand time was associated with a lower odds of musculoskeletal impairment. So what does this mean for us clinically is that, we often, I remember every clinic I've been to, and look, I've had some great clinical situations, but I remember every clinic I've been to, we've had that old-fashioned hand grip strength and that we'd use for a lot of different patients, and I could probably comfortably say most clinics have got some objective measure there that we can measure grip strength. They're reasonably cheap in the whole scheme of things when it comes to technology and having tools in your clinic. It'd be something that would be a really simple addition to your clinic if you don't currently have one, but also too allows you to test and track changes over time with our participants. For the chair stand test, we've got a chair. We more often than not have a stopwatch, and we could do a really simple 5-second repetition chair sit to stand test. Once again, assess for risk, but also to track changes over time. I guess the proof is in the pudding is what interventions do you plug into these participants if you identify them as having low capacity or low strength variables What's your intervention over a 6-week period, over 8 week, over 12 weeks? What are you going to do to make them stronger in both their hand grip and their leg strength? I guess that's up to us and the clinical reasoning that we put behind that assessment. So, but nevertheless, these are really some nice numbers here that we can present to our patients, not to scare them, but to identify, look, if we're on the slower end of the time sit to stand test, or if we're on the weaker side of the hand grip strength test, this is our current risk. But hey, if we can improve these numbers over the next 2 to 3 months and sustain them through the next few years, we're lowering our risk of being impacted by these problems. Obviously, the younger that you start, the more likely you are to ward some of these problems off. Of course, if you're already sort of starting with people who have already got these lifestyle-related diseases, it'd be hard to sort of scale back from that. But of course, the quality of life we put into our years is really, really key. So no matter where you're meeting your person or your people or your cohort of participants that you're meeting and your patients that you're meeting, it doesn't seem to be, from all that I've seen, strength doesn't seem to be much of a downside. Of course, it's not the panacea to fix everyone's ailments and everyone's problems, but as a general tool to help people improve their quality of life and to improve their function and their physical health and mental health, it's a really good thing to have in there. Of course, there's other things that make people happy and make people function better, but from a strength point of view, we know it's got great bang for buck with bone health, metabolic health, physical fitness, and the ability to do fun stuff. So look, it's for me, it's a no-brainer to have them as part of our programming for our middle to late older age participants. So look, full text paper here from this article. So feel free to give it a good read yourself. It's at the link below this video. Download it, give it a read and dive into it a little bit more. But I hope you enjoyed this summary. I really enjoyed this paper. I love the really, practical nature of it, being able to assess with a hand grip strength, to be able to assess people's lower limb strength with a really simple sit to stand exercise. I'm all about outcome measures. I'm all about strength intervention. This paper really sort of sat nicely with my biases. So hopefully you've enjoyed this review and this summary. Like I said, full text paper is underneath this video link for you to view and read yourself. As always, send me your comments, your questions, any topics you want me to cover next time. I'll love to hear them. And until next time, thanks for watching Fast Physio Facts, and I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I've enjoyed breaking it down. Until next time, see you then.